The Holy Land pilgrimage, where the Old and New Testaments intertwine with stories told through manuscripts, shrines, museums, and living stones. The Maronite Christians of the Holy Land gathered on Saturday the 14th of July in Isfiya on Mount Carmel to celebrate the feast of St Charbel. The Mass in memory of the Flower of Carmel is celebrated in the Stella Maris monastery in Haifa. The Sunbula of Jerusalem fulfills its mission training and reintegrated marginalized groups. In Beit Jamal, the monastic family of Bethlehem, of the Assumption of the Virgin and of St Bruno between prayer and craftsmanship. On the 15th of July 1149, the Basilica of the Crusade of the Holy Sepulcher was consecrated, an important day to remember the gift of God. A place rich in natural beauty, sea, lakes, mountains, deserts, and above all an ancient history which attracts a multitude of peoples. A place where Old and New Testaments intertwine with their stories through old manuscripts, shrines, museums, and living stones which preserve memory. All of this is the Holy Land. As confirmed by the Israeli Ministry of Tourism, about 2 million people visited these places in the first half of 2018. And the place par excellence is Jerusalem, holy city for the three monotheistic religions and pilgrimage destination.
For
us, the pilgrimage par excellence is here in Jerusalem. Here is where the tomb of Christ is, and here is where he resurrected. Being here means being able to visit the places where he walked, healed the sick, spoke. The published data do not show the age groups of tourists and pilgrims, but walking through the city you can meet people of all kinds, from the youngest to the oldest.
This is the fourth time I've come here. The first time was in 1987, the second time in 2000, the third time in 2008, and this is the fourth time. Every time I live a new and richer experience.
I
am happy to be here despite my advanced age. I am almost 88. I am living my second youth. Every time I come back, I find something new that shakes my heart and makes me try to be even more faithful to my Christian, priestly and Franciscan vocation. Some groups take only a few hours to fly to the Holy Land, while for others the journey is longer, to reach the Asian continent. The pilgrimage to the land of Israel is an experience which goes back to the origins of the biblical man, and it's also in the very experience of Abraham. Pilgrims have been here since ancient times. The diary of the Spanish pilgrim Egeria, who came to the Holy Land in the 6th century, is still quite famous, as well as the diaries of medieval pilgrims and other witnesses. Later on, I would say especially from the 15th century, there were more written texts and records, which are very interesting to understand how this land has been sought by Christian generations over the centuries as a land of pilgrimage. The pilgrim sets out on his way because he trusts God. When he leaves, he doesn't know what God will make him discover, what are the surprises that God has in store for him, but he still sets out on his way with confidence. He doesn't even worry too much about finding comfortable, convenient places, about not having inconveniences, none of this. Instead, he goes with his dimension of trust, because pilgrimage expresses above all the dimension of faith.
Perché il pellegrinaggio esprime soprattutto la dimensione della fede.
The Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem is an important destination for pilgrims from all over the world. Many of them participate on Fridays to the traditional Way of the Cross presided over by the Franciscans. But you can listen to prayers and songs at any time in many languages. In the Basilica of the Holy Sepulcher, Masses can be celebrated in about 20 languages. Celebrations with the groups begin at 5 a.m. An average of 25 to 30 masses a day distributed among the Calvary, the tomb, and other chapels. If we look at the last years, there is a growth of groups, a growth of pilgrims, and another phenomenon is the growth of tourists who do not celebrate but visit the Basilica. There is also a growing presence of Muslims who visit the Holy Sepulcher mainly during Ramadan. Different cultures, different peoples come together in an experience of faith that undoubtedly marks their lives, but also that of those who live in this land.
Il pellegrinaggio è chiaramente importante anche per I cristiani che vivono qui.
The pilgrimage is also important for the Christians who live here, because when the pilgrims arrive, the Christians who live here feel connected with the Christians from the rest of the world. For communities that are clearly a religious minority, this is a positive encouragement.
Dal punto di vista religioso questo diventa un incoraggiamento.
The family gathers to celebrate a very popular saint in the Middle East, especially since one of the children is named after St Charbel. We believe in St Charbel, and when we saw his miracles and his testimony, we named our son after him. While we follow his path, we learn the qualities of simplicity and faith, and a life that shows faith in Christ. To honor the feast of St Charbel, a special celebration is held in the church dedicated to the saint in Isfiya on Mount Carmel. The city is located in the north of Israel and has about 10,000 inhabitants, mostly Druze, followed by Christians and Muslims. There are about 11,000 Maronites in the Holy Land, living in cities like Acre, Jaffa, Nazareth, Haifa and Ramleh. They live mostly on the Lebanese border. The Mass was celebrated by the Maronite Patriarchal Exarch, Monsignor Musa El Hage. The Maronite rite is celebrated both in Arabic and Syro-Aramaic, because Aramaic is the language spoken by Jesus Christ. The feast of St Charbel would be on the 22nd of July, but in 1964 the monastic order asked for the feast to be celebrated on the third Sunday in July, so that it would be on a festive day, allowing people to visit St Charbel's tomb and receive his blessing. The procession continues, as well as the desire to follow the example of life of the Lebanese hermit monk of the 19th century, a symbol of unity between East and West. Beatified in 1965 and canonized in 1977, he has thousands of devotees here in the Middle East. This feast brings us closer to God to discover eternal life and His kingdom, and to change our life for a true Christian life filled with blessings, peace and love. Through the feast of this saint, we send our best wishes to every person with the name of Charbel. He lived a devoted life, which makes also Muslims and Druze venerate him. Requests and miracles for the intercession of the one who, as a young man, followed the call coming from within, leave everything and follow Christ to have everything. A place that reminds us of a centuries-long history. The Stella Maris monastery on Mount Carmel evokes silence and prayer. It is erected above the cave which is said to be of the prophet Elijah and is connected to episodes from the Old and New Testaments. The dome, rich in detail, is decorated with frescoes of the spiritual heritage of the Carmelites: Elijah and the chariots of fire, David with the harp, the prophets Isaiah, Ezekiel and Daniel, the Holy Family. Carved reliefs on the columns are a tribute to the four of the order's great saints: St. Teresa of Avila, St. John of the Cross, St. Miriam of Jesus Crucified, and St. Edith Stein. The Basilica is to us Carmelites a world sanctuary of devotion on Mount Carmel. The Virgin Mary has the name of the place where we began to worship her in the 12th century.
Ad onorarla proprio nel XII secolo.
Mount Carmel, located in the city of Haifa, with a maximum altitude of 546 meters and its many caves, began to be populated by hermits who became the first Carmelites. A story that began on July the 16th, 1251, when St Simon Stock, superior general of the time, received from the Virgin Mary the sign of the scapula, which would become the garment of the religious and subsequently a sacramental garment worn by faithful all over the world.
Io sono qui da 6 mesi soltanto.
I've only been here for 6 months and my experience is extremely special and moving. I do not live nearby, but right inside the Basilica and always in contact with the Virgin of Carmel. Living here and honoring the Virgin is the dream of all Carmelite friars, a devotion that is part of the spiritual patrimony of the order.
Fa parte del patrimonio spirituale dell'ordine.
The 16th of July is therefore the official feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. As a sign of friendship, every year the Carmelite monastery welcomes the Franciscan friars who celebrate Mass in memory of Our Lady of Carmel. On August the 15th, the Assumption of Mary, the Carmelites are the ones who preside over in the Franciscan Basilica of the Annunciation in Nazareth. This union of charisms in the Holy Land is essential because together we carry Jesus and the love we have for the Most Blessed Virgin, and we also witness Jesus and our love for His Mother in this very reality between Jews and Muslims, and we hope to have this communion of charisms. For the members of the Carmelite family, the Virgin Mother of God and men is not only a model to be imitated, but also a sweet motherly presence. The Virgin Mary is my mother and I always pray to her. We go to church to ask her for protection, for the city of Haifa, for us and for everyone. We always pray for her intercession until we meet her in heaven. The Sunbula was founded in Jerusalem in 1988 with the aim of creating employment opportunities for women, farmers and minorities such as Bedouins, Gypsies and people with special needs in Jerusalem, the West Bank and Gaza.
We work by giving them the opportunity to work and earn their own income. Like there's an expression that you give the people, the hungry people, not the fish, but how to fish. That's our work. We bring the beautiful handicrafts that are made in different communities all across Palestine. We work with 23 organizations and you see the products here in our shops. We sell their products on their behalf, so it becomes their income for them every month. But also at the same time, we try to take care of their production side by giving them the training to develop their designs and skills and production quality.
The Sunbula is also involved in Palestinian handicrafts. We want to be a bridge that connects isolated towns and villages through different programs and projects, thus giving its members the opportunity to become producers. The Sunbula relies on women to produce quality traditional handicrafts. It encourages women to take part in programs and projects that promote their talents in social justice, as well as their functional independence, guaranteeing them a daily income.
We also have the tradition of embroidery in Japan. We have the Japanese embroidery that we use to also decorate our traditional costume. So I find it very similar also in Palestine that the women wear these beautiful dresses, the traditional dresses that is made with their embroidery.
بنجيب نحن تطريز.
We have embroideries, crafts made of Beit Jamal olive wood, as well as soap made from oil. However, the most important thing is that the quality of the product is high. We have designers who organize workshops with the institutions we work with the main objective of developing and improving the quality of our products.
عشان نحسن المنتوج ونطور المنتوج.
The monastic family of Bethlehem of the Assumption of the Virgin and St Bruno is present in the area and lives its vocation in the monastery of Beit Jamal, located 30 kilometers northwest of Jerusalem. In addition to prayer, it stands out in the production of pottery, jams, juices, and oils extracted from the local plants. The vocation of these sisters adds work to prayer, and they reserve specific hours during the week to prepare their simple products using modest tools. The beauty and the high quality of the products on sale at the monastery are proof of their unique abilities. The congregation was founded in 1950. And it consists today of 600 sisters worldwide, in particular in the United States, Europe, and the Middle East. The monastery of Beit Jamal is home to 30 sisters dedicated to prayer, deeds, and love for God. The Holy Virgin is the example of their vocation destined to spread light and love on earth. St Bruno is the source of wisdom that guides their steps. The Basilica of the Holy Sepulcher has always been the heart of Christianity, and the 15th of July is a significant day for this holy place, the anniversary of the consecration of the Crusade Basilica, which is still one we admire in terms of its architectural structure. The first building was built by Constantine and consecrated in 335. It consists of Anastasis, Golgotha, and a large basilica with 5 naves, known as the Basilica of the Martyrdom, in reference to the testimony given by Christ with his blood. Destruction, earthquakes, and fires followed one another in the centuries up to the arrival of the Crusaders, who conquered Jerusalem in 1099 and began the rebuilding of the churches of the Holy Land, starting from the Holy Sepulcher itself. The new basilica was consecrated on the 15th of July 1149, on the 50th anniversary of the conquest of Jerusalem. To remember the dedication of the church means above all to remember the gift of God. God preserves for us this precious and unique place, which holds the 2 main memories of the life of Jesus: passion, death and resurrection, one of the main mysteries of our faith. A dedication that celebrates not only God's gift, but also the commitment of the Franciscan friars to preserve, since 1342, this place. This year, the celebration of the dedication, the celebration of the consecration of this place, is enriched with another area. The so-called prison of Christ is finally almost finished. In a few days, we will be able to enjoy an area that archaeologists consider to be the oldest of the entire complex, the one that gives us the level of the floors of the Constantinian era.